G'day there guys, I can resist anything but temptation, and pictures of cats, and your happiness. It's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good content. Thank you! Posted by user BipolarBird93, titled, Would I be the a-hole if I told my dad and his fiancée to sort out their priorities? Me, female 27, and my husband, male 29, were talking about this the other day. We're not the most well off, especially with 2 kids of our own. We have bills sorted, groceries, and whatever is needed. We sometimes have spare money, which we put away for extra bits, milk, bread, etc. My dad and his fiancée have a 3-year-old. There's an age difference between them, but not. There has been a few cases where we've got them groceries when they've been short. My dad cannot physically work as he has crippling osteoarthritis. His fiancée is lazy with no job experience and a bad history of stealing from voluntary work. Problem is that after they buy their shopping and sort out bills, they don't keep money aside in case they need anything extra. They've been known to buy weed or random things. Money has been more tight since my dad's car needs fixing. But they still buy weed. My wedding just gone, I had to pay for their little one's outfit as they didn't prepare with the time they had in advance. Dad's fiancée forced her daughter to be a flower girl with my daughter. They babysit my daughter on a Thursday for a few hours while we do needed housework. She's a pocket rocket. And my husband went and collected her and saw that their little one didn't have any art stuff and was drawing with a black biro pen and old envelopes. So we've gone and bought a load of art things for her Christmas as it broke our hearts. I've got a message today asking for money as they need electricity. I'm still owed over £40 and have been known to let them off with their debts to me. I wouldn't be able to tell you how much. Would I be the a-hole if I sat down and said that they really need to figure out their priorities? I feel like the a-hole for interfering with their money and thinking of not helping them. Because this is beyond a joke now. His fiancée can go without weed. They need to sit and figure out their own finances. No, you wouldn't be the a-hole for sitting them down and telling them that they need to figure out their priorities. It seems like child neglect is one of their priorities that they're very happy to live with facilitating right now, as long as a steady supply of weed is coming in. It seems as though you're one of the only people in their lives that's actually able to slap them in the face with this reality, and I more than urge you to do it. That's disgusting behavior on their part, that they keep taking money from you and blowing it on the devil's lettuce instead of sorting out their finances first. She needs to clean up her act and stop destroying every paid opportunity that comes her way and actually be a carer for once. The husband has an excuse for not working, not her. Please go harder, OP, not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Mr. Jeff Atkins says, Not the a-hole. Although I fully sympathize with them, benefits in the UK at the moment are awful. I do feel that you shouldn't have to bail them out if they don't prioritize. I used to have to constantly bail out my ex, who wouldn't and couldn't work, and spent too much money on weed, so I get where you're coming from as well. Unfortunately, getting someone to change their ways is going to be very difficult. OP replies, Thank you. I was told, once they had their kid, his fiancée decided to have a baby when I got pregnant, that she wouldn't be smoking or smoking weed. But to be honest, we've bailed them out so much, but I feel like I'm being taken for a mug now. My older sister, I was the youngest before my baby sister was born, has said that if they can afford weed and other things, then they should put that aside for things needed. I've said I'm always here if they need me, but with how things are going, I do feel like I'm being used. Me and my husband have in the past had to ask his man for help, and always paid back immediately, usually when an unexpected bill or something happens. But they haven't paid us money owed, and it's been months, but still managed to buy weed? I'm feeling a bit sour. I do feel like such an a-hole for feeling this way, as I'm usually so chill over it. If you keep bailing them out, they will never learn. You gotta stop enabling this behavior and let them figure it out the hard way. Not the a-hole. Their child is more important than weed. And OP replies, definitely. Like, I don't smoke or do drugs, I don't even drink. But if I did, damn right my kids would come first. I've gone without a fair few times to make sure my kids are well provided for. The amount of times I've used birthday and Christmas money gifted to me for the house, bills, food, or even just got the kids things. Yet there's people who don't. I can't understand it. And Cthulhu's son says, you're the a-hole for being their private bank account for so long. Just make it clear you're not in a position to give them any more money. It's not lending if they never pay it back. OP replies, I'm just worried that it'll affect my little sister. I can't see a child go without, no matter how disorganized her parents are. If they have more children, even if they don't have the means to give them a good life, are you okay to destroy your finances and possibly sour your marriage to bank their lives? You are an enabler for your father the same way he is for her. They, yeah, both of them, give you mental problems, and you still want them affecting your life to the core. Stop being a masochist, love yourself more, and let your father and his family sort themselves out. They can't have any more kids. Their kid was a sperm donor, as my dad had the snip when I was born, which is something she holds against me, saying, you're the reason your dad had to get the snip and we couldn't have biological kids. And my dad said they'll only have the one. The only way she'll have any more, which she does and has been nagging for, is if she cheats on him, which she has done before. But you're right. It's definitely worth just talking to my dad about it all. That statement is enough to cut off stepmother. Your father and stepmother are adults. They chose to have a child. They choose to smoke weed. She chooses to not work by putting so many restrictions on what she will do. Be honest. They can stop with the weed, video games, etc. Help them one more time if you feel like you have to. Then tell them they're on their own. The information about budgeting and finances is easily available. They're adults, stop enabling them, and maybe they will learn to adult. If not, involve CPS for the sake of your 3-year-old sister. And now on to the update. So this is a smallish update. Hopefully I'll have another one in the coming weeks. I was talking to my older sister about the situation. Turns out things are a lot more worse than I thought. Turns out, according to my sister, 28 Annie, and her husband, my daughter was being blamed by my dad's missus for everything that was going wrong at my wedding. My daughter and baby sister were running riots and being toddlers, nothing out of the ordinary. My daughter, Sarah, was getting shouted at, while baby sister, Abby, was being worse but not being told off. So there's that. I don't think my daughter will be going to my dad's. Also, Annie told me older brother, 30, Mike, who is disabled and my dad is meant to be his carer, pretty much barely gets fed. Gets his dinner, as no one will make him anything. He can't cook for himself due to his disabilities. If he helps himself to stuff, he gets shouted at, "You're eating little Abby's food." But Mike pays to live there. They take the vast majority of his money. Yet there is next to nothing food-wise most of the time, and they always seem to find money for weed. Today, my dad's missus was bragging to me that she's going to let her female cat get pregnant and sell the litter. I was disgusted. So, I reported it. I was talking to my therapy assessor, and they're putting in a social services report anonymously for me. I'm scared because he will know one of us did it, but if it gets them the help they need, I'll live. Oh yeah, I'm going to be getting therapy for depression, anxiety, and CPTSD. I'm looking after myself now. And wow, I wasn't expecting this to be so popular. Well, I actually had a call yesterday. It has officially been referred to an adult and childcare. It's been done anonymously, so there is that. I've sent a link about Lucy's law to Dad's fiancé. The adult care have been told of her intentions too, so they'll be stopping that. The cat will be safe. My brother and baby sister will be getting the help they need. Dad and his fiancée will be getting help with getting off weed, financial advice, and things like that. I've told not a single soul about what I've done. If anything happens, I will tell them I mentioned my fears to my therapist, as it does cause me some anxiety. I had no idea she'd report it, as anything I say is confidential, but I understand why she did. I'm glad I've spoken up though. Now in the comments, Peggy HW says, "Wow, not a good situation. You were right to ask for help. This isn't something you were equipped to handle." And OP replies, "I would be lying if I said I wasn't crying and scared. I love my dad, but his enabling behavior and the fact that he's 60 and just can't sort his finances out is getting to me. I don't want my baby sister or my older brother to be screwed over. During my teen years, his fiancée pretty much spent all the money on weed, and there was next to nothing in the house, so I don't want it happening again. His fiancée is a drug addict, and he needs to realize buying a bit of weed is going to keep growing again. Can you become your brother's caretaker? Unfortunately, I live in a small 2-bed house with 2 kids, 1 girl and 1 boy. I also work, so I honestly wouldn't have the time. If push comes to shove and I end up having to take anyone in, I'll have to see about moving into a bigger place and quitting my job. You did the right thing calling social services for your brother and the baby. It's going to be anonymous. Hopefully they don't figure it out. I love my dad, but at the moment, they need help I can't provide. If they say anything to you about it or blame you for it, tell them exactly what I told my boss. All I did was vent to my therapist. I thought that my therapist was only mandated to report abuse to me or committed by me. I had absolutely no idea that my therapist would see you guys as abusive and report you. I'm so sorry this happened." And OP replies, "If it comes down to it, I'll say this. Thank you. I would get your brother out of there. Sadly, your sister will be another story. My older sister has said that she'd happily take him if anything happens. Things have happened. Your brother is not getting fed. That's not small. That's starvation. Yup, I only just found out, so I put in the report. He pays his way, he should be able to get what he fancies, and my dad should be helping him make food. It's dawning on me that yes, we're adults, but we are still his children, but we've pretty much been forgotten about unless it benefits them." By the way, an easy way to prove negligence via nutrition is by having your brother evaluated by a doctor. Please insist his caseworker gets a full medical evaluation done on him. Malnutrition is the most obvious and easily detectable. A friend of mine had his elderly mother being cared for by his neglectful daughter. No one knew how bad it was. Daughter just abandoned grandma at the hospital one day, saying she had dementia, and signed her up for government care. Except she had a retirement fund with quite a bit to survive off of, and could have been put in private, which was a big red flag. After a week in the hospital, it turned out she didn't have dementia, she was extremely malnourished and delirious. An abuse report was filed. Turned out daughter had been stealing her grandma's retirement funds, funneled over $500K, and had blown it all on random crap, including buying her drug dealer a new truck. Huge fraud case, elder abuse, even her kids got taken away. All because of malnutrition. Luckily, grandma is fine. Enough was recovered and untouched to get her in a really good home. No one really knows what happened to the daughter, as she was cut off. Last my buddy heard, she had the audacity to come begging for money for a decent lawyer. Posted by user Clove3355, titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that she's being cruel by blaming her father for her insecurities about her looks?" So my husband and I have 3 daughters. They are all absolutely gorgeous. Our oldest, 19, and youngest, 13, look more like me, while our middle daughter, 17, looks more like her father. My husband definitely has more strong and unique features, but I find him incredibly good looking, which is why I even married him. Our middle daughter, however, has decided that her father is ugly, and by looking like him, so is she. I feel very sad that she's trying to compare herself to bullcrap beauty standards. Unfortunately, she's also been teased at school, and while we've managed to stop that, it hasn't helped the issue. Our daughter's problem with her appearance started when she was around 12, and despite therapy and us trying various techniques recommended by therapists, her attitude is unchanged. But it's really escalated the past few years when she's started blaming her father for inheriting his genes. I have shut her down every time, but my husband just lets her blame him if I'm not around. Recently, my poor husband broke down in tears while we were in bed and said he felt really guilty that our daughter looks like him and that he can't help that he's ugly. He has never had issues with his appearance before and was always very confident. I was completely crushed. My husband said that we should maybe look into paying for some of the plastic surgery that our daughter has demanded. I disagreed with that completely, and we fought over it. The next day, I confronted my daughter, and I told her I understand she has serious self-esteem issues, but she's being cruel to her father. This triggered a meltdown from her, and she hasn't talked to any of us since. She hasn't left her room in nearly 2 weeks. She won't even eat unless one of us leaves food outside her door. My husband is gutted and is still blaming himself. Was I wrong for what I said? No, you're not wrong for that at all. Saying the truth and pointing out the obvious fact that she has serious self-esteem issues and is being cruel to her father is not wrong. It's shutting down her abuse towards your husband that he did nothing to cause. You are being a good parent by tackling this directly. You are showing that you have a deep level of care and respect for these two people in your life by being the mediator and resolving it when they can't. Both of them need you to do this, as it's obvious they cannot and will not fix it themselves. She needs to let her meltdown pass and get some help in the therapy so she avoids doing this again in the future. Those are such unhealthy coping mechanisms that only stand to damage her relationships in the future if she continues. Good job, OP. Not the a-hole. Now in the comments, KMachine42 says, not the a-hole. Your daughter is clearly in the wrong here, and she's 17. She's old enough to start dealing with her issues, to be honest. I was expecting this kind of behavior from a 14-year-old. She can't change her appearance, but she can change her attitude. This is just a really toxic mindset to have, and worst thing is, she's blaming other people for something they have no control over, and the dad is letting it affect him. I know why he feels that way, but he needs to accept it's something he had no control over. I feel so bad for the father, but let's be honest about how men and women's bodies are treated differently. While we're inching towards a more egalitarian world on most gender issues, women are still penalized much more than men for being conventionally unattractive. Most teens are insecure, but this poor girl has gotten bullied for her looks, and it's her face that's the issue. This isn't something she can cover up or improve with exercise. That's a daily torture she can't easily avoid. I can empathize with her despair just as much as I can empathize with her father's newfound physical insecurity, grief, and guilt. My heart breaks more for him as an adult, because watching your kid suffer because of something she inherited from you must be traumatizing. But that young woman is having a very, very hard time, and tangentially, she can't change her appearance. Sure she can, and since she's 17, she can start saving money to pay for any procedure she likes once she's an adult. Not the a-hole at all. Your daughter is. With 17 years, she's old enough to understand that how she treats her dad is incredibly cruel. The prettiest, as well as the ugliest attribute a person can have, is the attitude. It's not exactly how the physical features of a person are, but rather how this person presents and handles these features. If she wants to have the surgery, don't stop her from doing it, but I would not pay for it either. She can earn it herself. I don't know what she would like to fix, but she can manage to earn $3,000 in a year by working a couple of hours a week. Don't let your daughter treat your husband like that, and give all your attention to him. Men also like to hear that they are pretty and gorgeous. I 95% agree with this comment. My experience is that at 17, you are old enough to know that you are causing pain, but not to understand the impact. She 100% knows she's bullying him, but it will likely be years yet until she understands that her parents are people who hurt like she does. She needs to understand that she is doing to her father what others have done to her, and that they should both be confident and happy about how they look. Her attitude is causing both of them to be shaken. And now on to the update. So I've been asked for an update by a few people, so I thought I'd share. It's headed in the positive direction mostly. My daughter ended up moving to my parents' house last month, and while my husband and I were upset, the space definitely helped ease the tension at home. I go to see her every day on a walk, but she's still holding a grudge against her father and refuses to see him, which makes him incredibly sad. But one thing that was brought up in the last point was something that made me angry at first, but after a few days I saw the point. I love my children with all my heart, and to me, they're all incredibly beautiful. But I think I'm doing a disservice to my daughter by insisting to her that she is beautiful and not really trying to see her point of view. I am very attracted to my husband and find him very handsome, but objectively, he doesn't have traditional beautiful features, and my daughter has inherited those features. So I no longer try to convince my daughter that she's as beautiful as her sisters, because she's right that, as her mother, I don't see her how she sees herself, and I can't really relate to how she's feeling because I've never had those thoughts. My husband and I have agreed to let our daughter have a consultation with a plastic surgeon once the pandemic is over, and we'll pay for some of the procedures she wants, but we did agree that jaw shaving is not a procedure that we will be paying for. As much as it'll kill me that she wants to change the face I love and saw grow up, it's clearly a face that is ruining her mental health, and it's her choice what she wants to do with her body. I would rather pay for a proper surgeon than for her to do some cheap, illegal procedure somewhere else. My next steps are convincing my husband to get mental help himself for all of these negative emotions he's been harboring for a while. That's another challenge, that's for sure. And even more difficult is how to fix the relationship between my husband and my daughter. I'm just at a loss for that. I need to get them in a room with a therapist, and I'll be working on that. Thanks, everyone. Now in the comments, Bebe120 says, "Glad to hear that you've taken her insecurities seriously, but I would strongly recommend for therapy first before a consultation with a plastic surgeon because she's still a minor. Good luck." OP replies, "She's been going to therapy for several years now." Thanks for responding, and a very good thing if the therapy is about her self-image. But very troubling if she's still blaming her father for the way she looks, especially while in therapy. Is family therapy an option in this case? What does the therapist say about plastic surgery? That's kind of the issue right now. I want to get family therapy, but she's refusing. We're hoping that taking her to the plastic surgery consult will show her that we're acting in good faith and that she'll agree to have a dialogue with how she's been treating her father. We've done family therapy in the past, but this was before she was blaming her father. We're all glad to hear that things are progressing, albeit slowly. One thing you might want to let your daughter know is that most plastic surgeons who are very qualified actually may require her to do some therapy, given all the negative feelings and the transference that is occurring here. The reason for this is that this type of patient may come in with unrealistic expectations of what plastic surgery is going to do for them. These are the patients who are most at risk for becoming addicted to plastic surgery because it didn't do for them what they thought it would. Knowing how much she wants the surgery, telling her that being proactive now would save her time in the future because again, you are absolutely right in that you want a qualified surgeon to do any work for her, not some quack. Best wishes for your family as a whole. I would make her do family therapy before talking to a plastic surgeon, and I don't mean one session, like 6 months at least. If she's been in therapy this long and still blames her dad, she needs a new therapist. Yes, while it's nice you're acknowledging her insecurities, you are rewarding her nasty behavior towards her dad by offering her surgery. That won't fix her ugly attitude or the way she treats him. She'll continue to be mean and blame him for needing surgery in the first place or for needing more surgery, etc. He is her scapegoat. Don't reward her cruelty or pass it off. She's nearly an adult, and she needs to deal with her insecurities as such. We're just doing the consult next year. Then we plan on using that to start family therapy. She'll only be 18 next year. Any actual surgery will have to wait for a few years. No, she's got to go to therapy first. She has to understand the pain she's in, as well as the pain she's put her father through before she gets her surgery paid for. She moved out of her parents' home because you told her to stop calling her father ugly? She's got some serious issues here, and surgery may only lead to bigger problems if the underlying issue isn't fixed. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.